From BBC Radio 4, this is Things Fell Apart, Strange Tales from the Culture Wars. I'm Jon Ronson, a writer living in America, the land where culture wars begin. And by culture wars, I mean the battle for dominance between conflicting values. These wars can obsess us, consume our lives. I was curious to learn how things fell apart, and so I went back in history to find the origin stories, the pebbles thrown in the pond, creating the ripples. This story takes place on the edges of Hollywood, where ambitious people hustle around trying to make it. It's about a man from that world, Isaac Kappy, a man considered by many to be a true hero.
I want to say thank you to Isaac Kappy. You're putting yourself on the line big time for this.
Let's talk about the brother Isaac Kappy, behind the scenes with Hollywood.
Isaac is a hero.
But in fact, the culture war that Isaac got himself embroiled in is an especially dangerous one, filled with people convinced they've been abandoned by a culture controlled by the most evil criminals imaginable. Isaac's story even takes us inside Donald Trump's White House. For these reasons, the people closest to Isaac have never spoken about him publicly, until now.
My name is Wendy Kappy, and I'm Isaac Kappy's mother.
So let me take you back to who Isaac was before everything fell apart. He was born in 1977 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. By his 20s, he had joined its thriving independent film scene.
He was producing, he was acting, he was writing scripts and music. I think he felt really great about that. And he had a lot of good friends that he was working with.
Including his best friend, Ross.
He came to me at one point and was like, "So you're like the actor guy in Albuquerque, so am I. We should be friends." And that was that was pretty much it. I think we pretty much hung out every day after that. Sunday mornings, we'd get on our bikes and we'd load up champagne, put it in our bike basket, and just cruise around town. And so that was the birth of the song. Champagne bike ride, stars come in the sight, everything is alright, everything is alright.
This is Isaac's band, Monster Paws. In the video, Isaac drinks champagne while cycling through the suburbs with his friends. Isaac's mother, Wendy, was proud.
Champagne Bike Ride was picked up by Ford Motor Company and used in an ad, and they actually got a good chunk of change for that.
At the same time, Isaac was landing small roles in big movies and TV shows that were shooting in Albuquerque.
Breaking Bad, Thor. He was in Albuquerque when he booked Thor. He played a pet store clerk. It was just a very quick scene, but memorable.
So Thor has landed on Earth, and he goes into a pet store because he wants to buy a horse.
Yeah.
I need a horse.
We don't have horses, just dogs, cats, birds.
And give me one of those large enough to ride.
And the look on his face, you know what I mean, a horse. Yeah, it is a funny scene.
He wanted to be a star. He wanted to be famous. That was definitely an important thing for him. And he saw himself that way.
And between the band and the acting, it looked like it really could happen. But in 2011, New Mexico's state governor abolished the tax incentives for film companies, and the Albuquerque film industry ground to a halt.
So a lot of production companies left. That's actually when a lot of Isaac's friends and Isaac migrated to LA.
When you leave a place like this that's a smaller pond and you go to a place like Los Angeles, it is bleak because you're competing with 100 times the number of people, and all of them are capable.
Isaac was pretty healthy before he went to LA.
In Los Angeles, Ross moved behind the camera, becoming a line producer, while Isaac struggled to find acting work. But one good thing happened to him. He got in with an exciting celebrity crowd, as his old bandmate Mario remembers.
He loved them. They would have game nights and stuff. He would show me videos. They became like his new best friends.
It was exciting for him, for sure. Paris was involved and Macaulay Culkin.
Paris was Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter.
Yeah. He kept that group of friends kind of close to the breast. The most he ever really told me about them was that he's got a new group of friends that are real friends. And I think it might have been a dig at me because, I was really busy with work. And we had probably gone a couple of months without hanging out.
There's one thing I haven't told you about Isaac back in Albuquerque. He had been a conspiracy theorist. Not that he did anything about it. He just watched old YouTube videos about 9/11 being an inside job.
Was he hardcore about it? He believed it pretty strongly. He wasn't super vocal about it, and he certainly wasn't public about it. It was a private belief that he held.
But then, during the 2016 US Democratic presidential primaries, something happened that, according to Ross, deepened Isaac's conspiratorial beliefs.
Bernie Sanders delegates, still furious over Hillary Clinton's nomination, stormed out during her speech. We caught up with a group of protesters in bright yellow shirts that read, "Enough is enough" on the back.
I'll tell you, I think that if Bernie Sanders had won the primary, his life would have been very different. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter, that shift, that flip.
That sense that people within the Democratic Party were actively conspiring to get Hillary the nomination.
Yeah, he definitely believed that.
I mean, I kind of believe that.
I do too. I mean, they did all they could to stifle Bernie for sure.
So here was the already conspiracy-minded Isaac, convinced that his candidate had been failed by a conspiracy. And so he took some steps further down the rabbit hole.
He started talking about Pizzagate, which he believed in.
Pizzagate was the theory swirling around online in 2016 that a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C. had secret dungeons which concealed the headquarters of a child sex trafficking ring led by Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party elite. Isaac wasn't getting any acting work, and he was online a lot, obsessing about those dungeons. He would watch Alex Jones, America's leading conspiracy talk show host.
Pizzagate is real. The question is, how real is it? What is it? Something's going on. Something's being covered up. It needs to be investigated. And I can't go out there and investigate it myself. We've had reporters on that have been there. They say it's really creepy, but all I know is, God help us, we're in the hands of pure evil.
But then came December the 4th, 2016. A terrible day for Pizzagate believers.
Next tonight, a terrifying moment. Authorities say a man with an AR-15 opening fire after police say he showed up at a family pizza joint after reading a fake news story that a child abuse ring was being operated there, but the story was completely untrue.
Luckily, no one was hurt, but still, this was rock bottom for Pizzagate. Not only had a believer opened fire in a restaurant, the theory had hinged around there being secret dungeons there, but it turned out that there was no basement at all. The shooter later admitted in a jailhouse interview with the New York Times, quote, "The intel on this wasn't 100%. But Isaac didn't stop believing, and he didn't tell his Hollywood friends that he was a believer. And then something happened. So here comes the key moment in Isaac's story. I need to ask you about the incident.
Okay.
Can you tell me the whole story?
I don't ever really know if I got the whole story. I've certainly got his version of the story.
Can you tell me that version?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a little uncomfortable for me to talk about that.
I would hope that you would, narrate the details of
Sure.
this.
Ross didn't want to say anything either. And so it's left to me to tell you about the incident. The truth is, nobody knows exactly what happened that night. The accounts swirling around online differ to some degree. You'll hear Isaac being interviewed about it in a moment. But let me tell you one version posted on a site called Data Lounge. It stood out because it does seem to come from someone who knew Isaac well and cared about him. Quote, "When Isaac and his girlfriend moved to Los Angeles, they looked like a typical Silver Lake hipster couple. He seemed to be completely normal. He was highly intelligent, well-spoken, confident, funny, a sweet guy. Several years back, Isaac started to slowly withdraw from others. Instead of writing and playing music, which he loved, he spent more and more time in front of his computer. He became consumed with Pizzagate. One night in March 2017, Isaac was hanging out with two of his closest Hollywood friends when he confided in them that after many months of exhaustive research, he had determined that certain people in Hollywood were part of a secret worldwide paedophilic society. His friends couldn't stop laughing. Was he serious? Isaac responded that he was indeed very serious. And then, unbeknownst to them, came the crucial misstep. They told Isaac that he was right. They confessed, telling Isaac that they had a secret room where they held children captive, and there was a child being held captive inside that room at that very moment, and if Isaac wanted to become a famous and successful actor in Hollywood, all he had to do was follow them into that room, behind a fake wall, through a secret entrance, and rape the child. Isaac's friend and his wife are both actors, so keeping a straight face was easy. End quote. We tried to contact the Hollywood friend, but received no reply. Soon after the incident, Isaac visited his old bandmate, Mario.
He walks in, and he's kind of like frantic. I'm like, what's going on, man? And then he's like, I got asked to join the Illuminati. They're like pedophiles. They're doing a sex traffic thing, and I didn't know really what to think of it.
During the weeks that followed, Isaac's Hollywood friends, disturbed by his increasingly erratic behaviour, began to distance themselves from him. They stopped returning his calls. He was out of their lives.
You know, losing that group of celebrity friends was something that really impacted him.
Was he just dropped by kind of everyone?
As far as I know, yeah.
Which I get, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I understand.
Right, I mean, it's extremism on display.
Isaac's life was in turmoil. He was getting no acting work. He had been dropped by his new friends.
And he came to Albuquerque. He stayed with us for a month. He was very depressed. He was very distressed about the situation. And he was fearful, because he was holding a secret.
You must have been so worried.
I was. Yeah, I was really worried.
After sitting on his secret for 8 months, Isaac finally decided what to do with it.
His version, we all kind of saw that when he was on Alex Jones.
Joining us, Isaac Kappy. Thanks for coming on with us. Just up front, why are you going public?
I have a singular mission.
At this point, Isaac names his well-known friend, which I won't, due to the nature of the accusations and the total lack of evidence.
At his house, we were all kind of drinking, pulled back a secret bookshelf and said to me, "This is where we keep the children." The top floor in that Malibu house was covered in stuffed animals.
I just thought, God, Isaac, please do not do this.
I guess my main reaction is, how could Isaac associate himself with somebody like, Alex Jones?
After that experience, I tried to block it out and just laugh it off, because you trust these people. I loved them. I loved them so much.
You're really good buddies. We looked it up. We didn't just believe you. So suddenly you're turning against him. Is this not the ultimate outdoing Sacha Baron Cohen stunt right now?
This is not a media stunt, okay? This is 100% the truth. I put my life on the line for this. I believe it. I believe that we should live in a world where children are not abused by...
No, I totally agree with you. So let me ask you this question. He has some stuffed animals. I mean, I got stuffed animals. I got kids. I don't think that's proof of that. Okay, I'm not saying you're schizophrenic. I'm just saying it goes in that direction.
Alex, I kind of got to call you out, man, because you're just employing the same sort of gaslighting tactics I've heard from everybody else. Look,
gaslighting.
When you go on Alex Jones and even he debunks your evidence, I mean, that says something there.
The conspiracy world had been in disarray since the Pizzagate fiasco. And despite Alex Jones's skepticism, Isaac was offering believers a lifeline. New information from a Hollywood insider. He started posting periscopes online, live-streamed monologues.
I'm tired of this. We should not have a world order where children are just raped and even murdered. It's disgusting. It's sick.
At the same time, a new movement was forming from the ashes of Pizzagate, QAnon. It centred around the belief that President Trump had a secret master plan to arrest and execute the cabal of Democrat and Hollywood paedophiles. And now Isaac was becoming one of QAnon's leading voices. Here's Isaac's old bandmate, Mario, again.
He was really stoked when he started seeing his name out there and he started building the following. Like, this made him happy. Isaac was a bit of a narcissist, so loved attention.
I'm a better journalist than anybody at NBC. Prove me wrong. I don't think you can.
Narcissists always want to be the smartest person in the room. Sometimes the only way to be the smartest person in the room is to come up with some different information to the information everybody else in the room believes.
Isaac definitely, I would say, would think he was smarter than the average person.
Alex Jones was diagnosed by a court psychologist as being a narcissist, so maybe when Alex was interviewing Isaac, it was
a narcissist battle.
You still really liked him, right?
Oh, I loved Isaac. Truly loved Isaac. He was such a good friend of mine.
Isaac continued to post his theories online.
The surveillance community was watching me. I had people in my yard, and I had people, dig up my yard.
His paranoia was growing. One night in LA, he became so scared that he was being tailed. He asked a group of police officers to arrest him, but they laughed at him and said no.
He was paranoid and not in a state of reality. He thought the, helicopters in the distance passing by were monitoring him. And I went to go visit him down in Silver Lake where he was living. And he asked me to leave my phone in the car.
Isaac's periscopes grew more extreme. He was naming with zero evidence this or that Hollywood star as being paedophiles.
So many people reached out to me. A lot of people reached out with good intel about famous people, and then I used it to go at those famous people.
At this point, he wasn't just a regular QAnon adherent. He was kind of a thought leader of the movement.
Yeah, he was isolated that last year. I think that's one of the reasons why he went online, was to connect with people.
And he did connect. So much so that the QAnon community began posting Isaac Kappy fan videos onto YouTube.
Isaac is a hero.
Kappy, thanks for speaking for the kids. So I'd like to do a little tribute to Kappy.
I want to say thank you to Isaac Kappy.
Oh, Kappy, bringing down the mountain of corruption.
By now, Isaac's friend Ross was really worried.
He got very isolated and he stopped going out pretty much altogether.
Guys, I've been alone for a while.
Then came Isaac's final periscope.
Is this my last broadcast? Yeah, it probably will be.
He's lying on a wooden floor, answering questions from his QAnon fans.
I'm giving you panic vibes. Don't be panicked, all right? Don't get so focused on the monsters out there that you become one yourself. Because, guys, once I found out about Pizzagate, guys, I put thousands of hours into this, but what happened? I became so focused with the externalizations of evil that I did not find the evil within. Maybe I'll be back later. I love you. Take care, okay?
3 days later, Isaac set off to visit his parents in Albuquerque.
He started out on Mother's Day to come to give me a hug. On the way here, he died. He went over a bridge and he died.
At 7:20 a.m., a passing car's dashcam captured Isaac sitting backwards on a bridge in Flagstaff, Arizona, midway between LA and Albuquerque.
We believe he was there catching morning light. He was facing the east. He was, to us, looked like that he was in a pretty deep meditative space. And two young men see him and immediately think he's killing himself. And they rush their truck up to him. He doesn't see them come up to him. And when he turns around, the truck is there with the door flung wide open and a man trying to grab him to save him. I think that they were well-meaning. And he went over He went over the bridge. He fell backwards over the bridge.
Ross talked to Isaac for the last time just before Isaac left for Albuquerque. He apologised to Ross for things he had done that Ross could barely remember.
He said, "I'm sorry about everything." And I told him, "Hey, there's no need for an apology. Do you need me to come to you?" And he said, "No, I just need to get home to my mom." I think it was a terrible, untimely accident.
I'm presuming that you're alluding to those two guys who were driving past?
I think that they had good intentions and executed them poorly.
The incident happened in the morning, around 7:30, and we were informed at 4 o'clock that he had killed himself. Officers came to our house. In the aftermath of Isaac's death, it was like one traumatic episode after another. Probably the lowest thing that happened was that some people obtained photos of Isaac's corpse and posted them online. I tried getting them off, and YouTube didn't even respond.
YouTube responded to us to say how saddened they were to learn of Isaac's story and Wendy's experience, and that they have a tool for families to directly request the removal of videos like that.
He was not himself, and he was not his best. It's the main reason why I'm even talking to you right now, because I know that there's a community of people that have claimed him for their own, but I think that was Isaac at his sickest.
Isaac died on May 13th, 2019. But this isn't where his story ends. Because 18 months later, a highly respected attorney called Lynn Wood began urgently tweeting that he had information that Isaac had been murdered. Before I tell you how Lynn Wood turned Isaac's death into a culture war call to arms, I need to tell you a little about Lynn Wood himself. He declined our interview requests, but the journalist John Ziegler has been writing about him for decades.
We've had a lot of communication over the years. Found him to be a very impressive guy. I perceived him to be very rational and intelligent and well-grounded.
Lynn Wood had been a renowned defamation lawyer since the 90s, but he entered Donald Trump's world in 2019 with his defence of a schoolboy from Covington, Kentucky, Nick Sandman.
This was the case where some high school kids from Covington, Kentucky were at the nation's capital, and they got involved in a viral video where it appeared as if they were taunting a Native American.
A Native American elder taunted by teens wearing MAGA hats. They mocked him on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial.
And the kids were wearing Trump hats. The news media immediately jumped on the narrative that these kids were racist against this Native American.
The videos have drawn outrage from all corners. I wish I could say to these students, there's no place for this in our society.
And some other video came forward that questioned that narrative.
What we know now is apparently those young men were being taunted by a group called the Black Hebrew Israelites. They were hurling insults at them. And then when you see all the video, you realize that the kids were simply shouting school chants. And then the man with the drum walked in and actually got up in the young man's face.
And Lynn Wood represented the primary student and got a major settlement from multiple media outlets.
Here's Lynn Wood describing the Covington, Kentucky case to Fox News in March 2019.
They're out there going after this young boy. Why didn't they stop and just take an hour and look through the internet and find the truth and then report it? They were vicious. It was false. CNN will be sued next week.
And this became a huge cause celeb within Trump world. I believe that the president even tweeted about it on a couple of different occasions.
The Covington, Kentucky schoolboy had been defamed by a media that had become a part of the culture wars, until Lynn Wood came along to set things straight.
I like Lynn Wood a lot, and I don't like too many humans. I thought he was fantastic, very logical, charming.
So what happened to him?
It wasn't really until the 2020 election where it became very obvious that he'd completely gone off the deep end. It's not often that you see a figure of that stature have this public meltdown of such an epic proportion. I was like, what the hell happened to Lin Wood? It was just an avalanche of insanity.
They've accused me of being a QAnon conspiracy theorist. Why? They're trying to attack me because they can't attack Q, because Q is the truth. This is about the children, for God's sakes. The politicians, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens, the Bushes, they are involved in child sex trafficking. It's time to tell the truth to America.
Lin Wood had suddenly become a QAnon obsessive. He tweeted that Isaac Kappy could have changed the course of history had he not been murdered. Hackers had given Isaac a video, he wrote, that showed the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court raping and killing a child. Isaac was about to heroically deliver the tape to President Trump, but he was murdered before he could. Isaac's mother, Wendy, watched all this unfold.
Lin Wood came out on New Year's of 2021. He comes out with all these claims. I was absolutely sick to my stomach over it. Yeah, I don't know where he came out of the woodwork.
Just a few weeks before Lin Wood was tweeting those crazy things about Isaac, he had been working as one of President Trump's outside lawyers trying to get the 2020 election overturned. So I wondered how Trump felt about Lin Wood's crazy statements. Did he even think that they were crazy?
Well, so it's complicated.
And so I asked Jonathan Swan, a political reporter with the news site Axios. He's written in detail about Trump's relationship with his outside lawyers, which began when Trump's official lawyers told him that he had a 0% chance of getting the election overturned.
So Trump is then left with, well, who is going to tell me what I want to hear, which is, Mr. President, you can still win.
Enter outside lawyers like Lin Wood and Sidney Powell. They had both had remarkable careers in the law, but
in the minds of Trump's team, they'd all gone way off the deep end. They were offering solutions that were insane. I mean, Lin Wood was right out there on the far edge because, I mean, he was publicly calling for the execution of Mike Pence.
Do you think that's a coincidence, or is there something about being in that orbit that does it to you?
I think there's an online element to all of this. It's not just that they swim in similar social circles, they also read the same stuff online, and their information consumption has gone way off the deep end too.
With a reason for that being, as I documented in episode 5, that the engineers at Stanford in the 1980s got to design the internet exactly their way, as a libertarian utopia where all free speech, crazy lies included, could flourish unencumbered. And then Jonathan told me a story that I think really sheds light on what was going on inside Trump's head when he would broadcast the wild theories of his outside lawyers like Lin Wood and Sidney Powell. The story takes place inside the Oval Office.
Sidney Powell called one day and Trump puts himself on mute and she's ranting and raving about how, you know, this is an international conspiracy and it's all about the voting machines. And Trump's like mocking her, laughing, saying she's really crazy, isn't she? You know, this is for the benefit of somebody in the room. And then he would take it off mute and he'd say, so what are we going to do, Sidney? You know, revving her up and whatever.
You reported at one point Trump puts Sidney Powell on mute and is mocking her and says, isn't she crazy? And then he says, but maybe sometimes you need a little crazy.
That's literally what he said. Yeah. Yeah.
See, the implication of that is that he was knowingly utilising craziness as a tactic to spread
I think
chaos.
That's right. I think that's right. I think that's definitely right. Certainly he was trying to rev up his base and make them angry.
On January the 6th, a week after Lin Wood tweeted that Isaac had been murdered, this happened.
Insurrectionists were seen wearing Q symbols inside the Capitol and in the crowd outside.
Well, I'm here to support Trump. I'm here to stop the steal. I'm here because Q sent me.
Linwood emailed us to say that his social media posts about Isaac speak for themselves and that any effort to link them to January the 6th is, quote, errant nonsense. But it seems to me that by spreading the lie that Isaac had been murdered by a conspiracy involving the Chief Justice and various election officials, Linwood threw another stick on the fire that was igniting voters who believed the election had been stolen by an evil cabal.
This is good versus evil. We're on the side of good. It is that simple.
Hey, this guy's with the media! This guy's with the media!
President Trump allowed this destabilising chaos to continue because it was in service to him, because sometimes you need a little crazy. And that's how Isaac Kappy became a pawn in a culture war where the great new weapon was the destruction of reality, rippling down from the highest places in American life, smashing its way into the Capitol. Next time, in our final episode, how many of the culture wars I have documented in this series are currently tearing apart a town on a lake in Michigan. Things Fell Apart was presented by me, Jon Ronson, and produced by Sam Peach. The music was composed by Phil Channel. The programme was mixed by Bob Nettles. The editor was Philip Sellers. It's a BBC audio production for BBC Radio 4 and BBC Sounds.